that, because let's be real, on the old WNBA front, this is the most relevant the league is going to be for the next couple of weeks. Because we can be honest, during a couple of weeks, Caitlin Clark is out injured. Doesn't matter what happens. Does not matter what happens. No one cares.
To a quad.
Caitlin Clark's injury wasn't an accident. It was the predictable endgame of a deliberate season-long campaign designed to take her out. The official report from the Indiana Fever vaguely mentions a groin injury, but that's not the real story. That's the sanitized, corporate-approved version meant to calm the masses. The real story is about a pattern of escalating physical abuse, a league that has pointedly refused to protect its most valuable asset, and a crisis of leadership so profound it threatens to burn the entire WNBA to the ground. The story they are desperately trying to conceal from you is the one you absolutely need to hear.
This groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back-to-back a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So
the very first crack in this carefully constructed official narrative came not from a doctor's report, but from Clark's own head coach, Stephanie White. When she stood before the media to address the injury, fans and reporters were expecting clarity, a straightforward update, and reassurance. Instead, they were met with a baffling wall of confusion and alarming uncertainty that felt more like a political cover-up than a sports press conference. White openly admitted that she only found out about the severity of the situation late last night from her training staff. This is a shocking admission for any head coach, let alone one in a professional sports organization where the status of a franchise player is paramount. Clark had reportedly undergone an MRI much earlier in the day, yet the head coach was left in the dark for hours. This disconnect suggests either a catastrophic breakdown in communication, or, far more plausibly, that information was being deliberately managed and withheld.
Seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlin Clark might be going through something, salute to you. Clearly, you all saw what that person that stands there like this can't see. We all saw what was going on. Man, something's not right. Rushed her back. And within rushing her back, she re-injured that same quad. And then he rushed her back again. And then within rushing her back, she was forced to put pressure and put stress on different areas surrounding that quad. That leads us to our most recent groin injury. I don't need a degree to think for myself. If you've ever been to the gym, you got some chest pain, next thing you know, you got some shoulder pain. Why? Because instead of using your chest muscle to do the exercises, you compensate and start using your shoulder too much.
When reporters pressed for specifics on the MRI results, the one piece of hard clinical evidence that could have cleared everything up, her response was a masterclass in calculated deflection. You'll have to ask our training staff. This wasn't the confident, in-control leadership you expect from a coach managing a crisis. It was the picture of someone who was either completely out of the loop or, more chillingly, was under strict orders to say as little as possible. This raises an immediate and deeply troubling question. Why the secrecy? Why would a head coach be kept in the dark about her own superstar? The vague timeline and evasive answers painted a picture not of a routine injury, but of a situation being carefully and suspiciously concealed from public view. This mysterious press conference becomes infinitely more sinister when you look back at Clark's performance in the weeks leading up to it. For weeks, the mainstream media narrative was lazy and simplistic. She was in a shooting slump. But it wasn't a slump, it was a slow-motion physical breakdown happening in plain sight for anyone who was willing to look past the box score. Her historically bad shooting, where she went just 1 for 23 from three-point range over a brutal 3-game stretch, wasn't a sudden loss of skill. It was her body screaming for help. You could see it in her mechanics, the slight hesitation in her release, the uncharacteristic shots falling short, the visible frustration of a finely tuned machine sputtering. An elite athlete's body is a delicate instrument, and when one part is compromised, everything else begins to suffer. Reports of her coughing and sniffling in interviews, of looking exhausted and unwell, were dismissed as minor, but they were all pieces of a much larger, darker puzzle. She was being physically worn down long before the official groin injury report ever surfaced. The game against the Seattle Storm now looks less like an off night and more like a final, desperate warning sign. For the first time in her entire career, from youth leagues to college to the pros, she recorded more turnovers than points. This wasn't a slump, it was a system failure. She was playing through pain, compensating for one nagging injury, which only put an unsustainable amount of stress on other parts of her body, leading to the next breakdown in the chain.
She's dealing with a lot herself, right? Stephanie White. Of course, she's missed, 2 games so far because of personal issues, so I don't necessarily know what her personal issues are. Hopefully it's nothing like DeWanna Bonner's. But nonetheless, she's dealing with some things of her own, so maybe it's a tad bit difficult to keep up with every single thing that happens with her players. And then of course, she got this news late at night, so I don't know what time this could have been. It was posted early in the morning, so she's probably just now getting into the facility and trying to figure out what's going on with Caitlin. Let me see the MRI. What happened with the MRI? They probably caught her right before she can get all this.
The source of that physical punishment reveals a dark pattern that the WNBA and its media partners have willfully ignored. Let's be perfectly clear. This is not just tough basketball or a physical welcome to the league. This is a targeted campaign, and the numbers expose the shocking truth. This season, an unbelievable 17% of all flagrant fouls in the entire WNBA have been committed against one single player, Caitlin Clark. In a league of 144 players, for one person to absorb nearly a fifth of all flagrant fouls is not a statistical anomaly. It is a mathematical certainty of a deliberate strategy. It's hard evidence of a hit list. The evidence isn't just statistical, it's visceral. We all saw Chennedy Carter's blindside body check, an off-ball assault that had absolutely nothing to do with a basketball play and everything to do with sending a thuggish message. We watched the Chicago Sky systematically hunt her, with Angel Reese celebrating a hard foul on Clark as if it were a badge of honor, and we all witnessed the single most damning sequence of all, a moment of pure thuggery against the Connecticut Sun. In that game, she was deliberately poked in the eye by Dijonai Carrington, and while still reeling and disoriented, was immediately blindsided by a devastating and illegal shove from Natisha Hiedeman. Each incident viewed in isolation was ugly, but viewed together, they form an undeniable and terrifying pattern of targeted aggression designed to intimidate, injure, and neutralize the league's most valuable player.
Real talk, a lot of y'all records she coming from. She coming for him. At the end of the day, y'all can't stop nothing, bro. Y'all trying to beat her up and bruise her up and take her out the game and injure her, bro. We know what the motive is, dog. Like, don't nobody like that. I don't vouch for that. I don't like that. You hear me? Y'all not leading. Look, y'all need to get that out y'all heart. Cause that's some deep demonic stuff. The way y'all thinking and how y'all moving and having y'all little meetings and all of that and want to plot against this woman and her teammates that have her back, y'all better leave her, Sophie Cunningham.
The most shocking part isn't even that the attacks happened, it's what happened next. In the face of this blatant and dangerous campaign, the WNBA's response has been nothing short of pathetic. Natisha Hiedeman's brutal body check on an already injured player earned her a technical foul that was later upgraded to a flagrant one. Her punishment? A small fine. No suspension, no missed games, no meaningful consequences whatsoever. For a professional athlete earning a league salary, a small fine is not a punishment. It's It's the cost of doing business. The message this sends to every other player in the league is chillingly clear. The physical targeting of Caitlin Clark is not only allowed, but it carries almost no professional risk. This blatant refusal to protect its most important asset is an act of gross negligence. In any other major sports league, from the NBA to the NFL, there are unwritten rules and, more importantly, official sanctions to protect superstar players. Not out of favoritism, but because it's smart business to protect the assets that guarantee the future of the sport. The WNBA, however, seems more interested in placating the simmering jealousy of its veteran players than in securing its own future.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing, and I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
And as the league sits on its hands, the one group of people who see everything, the fans, are reaching their breaking point. The fan reaction has been swift, furious, and unified. Social media has exploded with outrage, with thousands of fans calling for Clark to abandon the WNBA entirely. The sentiment is no longer just frustration, it's a full-blown revolt. Fans are openly encouraging her to take her talents to Europe, where her skills would be celebrated rather than assaulted. One viral comment captured the mood perfectly. If Caitlin Clark quits the WNBA, I won't blame her. I'll applaud her. Let the league sink. This isn't just empty talk from a few angry fans. It's a reflection of a massive new audience that feels utterly betrayed. This anger is backed by cold, hard numbers that should terrify the WNBA front office. When Clark was out with her previous injury, national TV ratings for the league plummeted by a staggering 55%, from over 1.8 million viewers down to just 847,000. Indiana Fever ticket prices on the secondary market crashed by 47%. The WNBA is more financially dependent on a single rookie than any sports league in modern history. She is the pillar holding up their entire financial future, from media rights deals to merchandising. Yet with their inaction, the league itself is taking a sledgehammer to that very pillar.
Missing significant time. I would assume that the WNBA is still on track to make pesos, which is great. That's great. But if that happens, there's going to be an expectation to maintain it. There will be an expectation to figure out a way to turn this monetized turd into actual dollars. It's kind of hard to do that when the only star in your league is constantly on the bench. And one of the potential reasons that she's constantly on the bench is because of the increased physicality that she's forced to deal with every time she's on the court. We have already seen what happens when Caitlin Clark disappears from the
While the fans are screaming for accountability, the very people who are supposed to hold institutions to account, the mainstream sports media, have been bizarrely and deafeningly silent. The same media apparatus that rode the Caitlin Clark effect to record ratings, clicks, and endless content has almost completely ignored the Caitlin Clark targeting effect. They will publish countless articles celebrating her jersey sales and the viewership numbers she brings in, but they refuse to seriously investigate or cover the systematic physical abuse she faces on the court every single night. This isn't just poor journalism, it's outright hypocrisy. When legitimate concerns about her safety are raised, they are often dismissed by analysts as fans wanting special treatment or not understanding the physicality of the game. This was never about special treatment. This is about asset protection and basic player safety. Tiger Woods wasn't just protected because he was special. He was protected because the PGA Tour understood that you must secure your generational talents to secure the future of the sport. The media's silence is a form of complicity, a cowardly choice to maintain access to the league rather than report the ugly, inconvenient truth. But to truly understand why this is all happening, you have to look beyond the fouls and the league's inaction. You have to look at the motive. The aggression directed at Caitlin Clark isn't just strategic, it's deeply personal. It's fueled by a poison that has been spreading through the league's veteran ranks since the day she was drafted. Pure, unadulterated envy. Before she ever played a single professional game, legends of the sport like Diana Taurasi were on national television, condescendingly warning that reality is coming for Clark, a comment that now sounds less like a prediction and more like a direct threat. For years, WNBA players have fought for more attention, better pay, and greater respect. Then, in a single season, Clark arrived and was handed everything they had been fighting for on a silver platter. Multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, chartered flights for her team, and media coverage that dwarfed anything the league had ever seen in its entire history. The physical attacks on the court are a direct manifestation of this deep-seated resentment. They aren't just trying to stop her from scoring, they are trying to humble her. They are trying to physically punish the player who they believe stole their spotlight. It's a bitter, personal vendetta playing out with cheap shots and body checks. While opposing players are driven by envy, an even more sinister betrayal may be happening from within. The Indiana Fever and the WNBA are acutely aware that their financial stability rests squarely on Caitlin Clark's shoulders. This creates a terrifying conflict of interest. Are they truly prioritizing her long-term health, or are they prioritizing ticket sales and TV ratings? The evasiveness of her own coach, the lack of transparency around her injuries, and the clear pressure to get her back on the court all point to a disturbing possibility. That her own team and the league are willing to risk their franchise player's future for short-term financial gain. Think about it. Rushing a player back from a quad strain only for them to develop a groin injury is a classic sign of overcompensation and a body not being given enough time to properly heal. It suggests that the day-to-day evaluation is being dictated more by the game schedule than by medical science. This is the ultimate betrayal. The very organizations that should be protecting her from the attacks are the same ones potentially pushing her back into the line of fire before she is ready. She is trapped between opponents who want to injure her and a system that needs her on the court at any cost. The WNBA now stands at a historic crossroads, and its very future is hanging precariously in the balance. The uncertain tone in a coach's voice, the ignored warning signs in a star's performance, the undeniable pattern of physical targeting, and the league's cowardly refusal to act all point to a single catastrophic failure of leadership from top to bottom. Caitlin Clark will eventually recover from this groin injury. Her talent is too immense, her will too strong to be held down for long. The real billion-dollar question isn't when she'll be back, but what kind of league she'll be coming back to. They can continue down this self-destructive path, allowing jealousy and on-court violence to wear down their golden goose until she finally and justifiably decides she's had enough. Or they can finally step up, clean house, and prove they are a serious professional organization worthy of her talent. The choice is simple. Will the WNBA be remembered as the league that nurtured a generational superstar to new heights? Or will it be remembered as the league that stood by and watched as she was systematically broken down? The clock is ticking, and the entire world is watching to see if they will save themselves from their own worst impulses.